Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this story I got for you straight out of Georgia. And it deals with our prison system and how unsafe and how uncanny prison can be. Even in 2026, where you have surveillance cameras, you have new technology, many of our prisons' physical structures are failing, cells are not locking, there's understaffing of correctional officers, understaffing of medical staff, and here again, there's a lot of chaos and disruption, not only in our streets where there's understaffing of police officers, but there's chaos and disruption in many of our prisons throughout our country and our city and county jails, which is making it unsafe for prisoners and staff members. It is a very chaotic place to work and or to be at. And there was an enormous fight that led to multiple inmates getting killed and dozens of injuries that took place at this Georgia prison recently. So let's get into it. Fighting that broke out at a Georgia state prison left 3 inmates dead and injured corrections officers and 13 more inmates, the Georgia Department of Corrections said. The agency said the violence erupted in an outdoor area of the medium security. Now listen to this very carefully, just in case if you have family members incarcerated there or whatnot, because it's in Georgia, but the medium security prison is called Washington State Prison in Georgia. I know it's a little confusing. And that guards use non-lethal weapons to subdue the fighting. It said the situation was under control within about 90 minutes. Visitors were safely evacuated after some injured inmates entered the prison's visitation area, the statement said. You know how scary that is? They have a prison riot, a fight that goes on, and you're there visiting your loved ones, and it erupts and carries over into the visitation area. Here again, understaffing of correctional officers. You have some pods in city, county jails, even in prisons where there's one guard, sometimes a female guard that's watching over 40 to 60 male inmates. That is not safe. The agency said it believes the episode was gang affiliated. You know, gangs are running rapid. You got to join some association, especially as a young person in prison. In today's time, you're talking about these young people that are coming from fatherless homes. Their schools, inner city, urban schools have failed them. Their teachers, their parents. These kids are 9th and 10th graders, are graduating from high school, reading on a 6th grade level. That is definitely going from public high school to the pipeline to prison. Education is the key to your foundation and your freedom. So it said the agency believes the episode was gang affiliated, but gave few details about what happened, including how the 3 prisoners died. Video posted to social media showed at least 20 inmates running along an outdoor walkway enclosed by security fencing. These guys get phones in here. They got drones. Prison is supposed to be a security enforced place, and they got all kind of contraband going in there. So some inmate videotaped the melee and had a phone in there. Some of the inmates appeared to be holding clubs or other makeshift weapons. The footage was posted by the Human and Civil Rights Coalition of Georgia, which advocates for prisoner rights. The group said the footage came from an inmate who's not supposed to have a phone. The coalition posted another video showing fighting that it said was recorded December 13th at Washington State Prison, which has a capacity of about 1,550 inmates and is located about 130 miles southeast of Atlanta, according to the Department of Corrections website. Relatives say one inmate was killed days before his release. A guy was getting ready to get out of prison, and one of the inmates that died got killed days before he was supposed to be released. What is the luck of that for his family and for the unfortunate inmate that died? It looks like just letting them run. It's like they're just letting them run around doing whatever they want, said Michelle Lett, who told the Associated Press her nephew was among the inmates killed. They weren't trying to stop nothing. They were just running free in the prison. Lett said her nephew, 42-year-old Jimmy Lee Trammell, had been transferred to Washington State Prison recently ahead of his scheduled release. She said a warden called Trammell's brother late that Sunday night to tell him that Trammell had been fatally stabbed in a fight. Unofficial word of his death had already reached the family from an inmate with a contraband cell phone, Lett said. I just said that previously. They get all drugs, everything you can get on the street, you can get in prison. There's something wrong. The system is failing. The Department of Corrections confirmed Trammell's death in its statement, which said he was serving a 20-year sentence for burglary. Also killed were Ahmad Dwayne Hatcher, 23, and listen to these ages, 23 years old, and Teddy Dwayne Jackson, 27. Here again, you're seeing this repeatedly over and over again, whether it's on the streets or in prison or county jail or city jail, where these young people in their 20s, just beginning their lives, just when their brains are fully developed, are making poor decisions and putting themselves in corruptible, harmful ways where they have their entire life in front of you. These are not 55, 60-year-old people that have lived the majority of their life already. They're at the beginning of their lives, and their future is filled with a peril of death and incarceration. And you're seeing a lot of this is of people of color that look just like me. The agency said both Hatcher and Jackson have been convicted of aggravated assault. And then look at the crimes that these people are committing. They're committing adult crimes that have adult consequences that lead to prison. Aggravated assault is a serious charge. The violence was predictable considering listen to this about the Department of Corrections. The violence was predictable considering Department of Corrections records indicate Washington State Prison has been badly understaffed, said Anetai Holly, Deputy Director of the Atlanta-based Southern Center for Human Rights, which advocates for better prisons with fewer inmates. She cited July figures showing that 72% of staff positions authorized for Washington State Prison were vacant. 72%. That's how bad the understaffing is. While fights break out in U.S. prisons daily, it's rare to see violence that results in multiple deaths and so many people hurt, said Bryce Peterson, who studies corrections for the Center for Naval Analysis Center for Justice Research and Innovation. By any definition, this would fall under what we call collective violence, or a riot, Peterson said. This is certainly not a typical fight. This is much more serious. Peterson said that larger scale prison violence typically has multiple causes, such as tension between inmate factions that erupts at an understaffed prison where guards struggle to contain the violence. He said the fact that people died in Washington State Prison suggests some inmates had weapons. There's usually protections in place that failed or broke down and led to this kind of incident. It happens all the time. But you got to look at this as a history. This is going on. The Justice Department reported unchecked violence at Georgia prisons in 2024. The fight came less than 2 years after a 2024 report by the U.S. Department of Justice said Georgia prison officials were deliberately indifferent to unchecked deadly violence, widespread drug use, extortion, and sexual abuse at state lockups. The reports, which followed a civil rights investigation, found sophisticated gangs run prison black markets, trafficking in drugs, weapons, and electronic devices such as drones and smartphones. I said that earlier. How are they getting this stuff in here? Investigators also cited a rising number of homicides in Georgia prisons, from 7 in 2018, listen to these numbers, to 35 in 2023. Homicides later rose to 66 in 2024, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and were on pace to top in 2025 through June. Even more deaths. State officials denied they were violating inmates' constitutional rights at the time of the 2024 report, but Corrections Commissioner Tyrone Oliver and others have acknowledged that the pandemic led to a staffing crisis in state prisons as many prison guards resigned as a result of the pandemic. The state has pumped more than $600 million in new spending into the Department of Corrections in recent years. That has helped hire more guards, but the corrections chief told lawmakers in December that the state is still, listen to this staggering number, 1,000 guards short of recommended staffing levels. Doesn't this sound exactly like the understaffing of police out in our major cities and streets? Chicago needs like 2,500 police officers. St. Louis, Missouri needs 500 to 800. New York needs 3,500 to 5,000 police officers. What is going on in our world? Chaos and disruption is running our society. State Rep Bill Hitchens, a Republican from Rincon, said at the December hearing that he's concerned the prison system isn't making meaningful progress toward preventing inmates from jamming or disabling cell door locks. This is a real issue too. Broken locks allow inmates to roam freely and commit attacks. Oliver said at the time that fully replacing cell door locks could take years. How is that happening where you have broken locks on cells in 2025 with all the technological advances that we have in today's time? Our system is turning a blind eye to the safety and concerns in our city jails, county jails, and prisons. And there are many unfortunate deaths or lives being taken that could be prevented. The understaffing, the underappreciation, the technological advances that are not being used. We need to have more voices speaking for the incarcerated and working on how to reduce recidivism and making these people become free.